If you've watched me for any period of time, I think it should be obvious what my opinions are on transphobes, on TERFs, on, well, transphobes of every kind. I think they're pretty fucking stupid, and I think they're hateful, and ironically enough, considering one of their favorite insults to use against the trans community, a lot of these transphobes tend to be pedophiles. Isn't that strange? Isn't it strange how there seems to be like a direct correlation between transphobia and pedophilia? Just pointing that out. It's just over and over again. It just keeps coming up. I've seen it on Twitter. Every lolicon account that I've had to go up against, or like every time I go up against a war with the lolicon accounts, they're always like, yes, we may like pictures of drawed little girls, but you think that a man can be a woman. Gotcha. And it's like, oh, okay, good to know. Good to know that these are the people that I'm arguing against, right? That doesn't stop these people, these horrific demons, from trying to essentially concern troll the trans community and the broader left, I guess, into thinking that they actually stand for anything even somewhat resembling a moral, like an actual real moral system that they adhere to. They are truly bad people when you consider their behavior and put it on paper and look at it all sort of as a whole. So I actually wanted to start by, I want to start by reading you a particular story from LGBTQNation.com, and then follow it up with, featuring a tweet thread by Aaron Reed. So let's get started, huh? You guys are about to be disappointed but not surprised, I have a feeling. Yeah, the LGBTQ nationalists. Real. Anyway, I'm gonna read you the first two words of this headline, and then I'm gonna give you a pause to, let you come to some beliefs of what that headline might finish off with, and then we're going to, and then I'm gonna read the rest of the headline and see if it measures up to what you guys expected. Woman groped. Trans man's genitals in public to confirm his gender. Didn't expect the title to go there now, did ya? I feel like this article is specifically worded that way in the title to grab the average person's attention, like woman groped, woman grabbed, oh shit. But then if you click on the article, it's like, oh, your immediate preconception might not have been as accurate as you thought. Hate crime and sexual assault is what this is, without a doubt. And truly a demonstration of where the TERF ideology leads. The woman in question is, of course, a cis woman. And let's go ahead and read the story and hear what the TERF brain leads you to. A woman has been fined for grabbing a transgender man's genitals after asking about his gender. A 53-year-old woman named Karen Waldron was convicted of sexual assault after she groped a trans man at Yates Cheltenham, a sports bar in southwest England on February 6th. So definitely a TERF. Literally Karen of England, okay? We're talking like a TERF in the TERF hive. We're talking about behind enemy lines, all right? She approached the unnamed trans man on the bar's dance floor and asked his gender, as any normal human being does. When he replied that he was a man, she asked, "Are you sure?" The man replied, "It's none of your business." Based in response, Waldron placed her hands between his legs and squeezed his genitals. The man then responded by asking what she was doing and telling her that it was inappropriate. Prosecutor Graham Dono told the BBC. She reportedly replied, "I don't care." However, she started to care after the man reported the groping to the bar's security staff. The staff contacted the police. Waldron later told the police that the touching wasn't sexual and was more of a glance with the back of her hand that only lasted a second or two, Dono said. Waldron was extremely intoxicated, and this was a drunken and gratuitous touching of the man's genitals, he added. In court, Waldron said that she had been enjoying a night out with friends and was trying to protect a friend who had found the trans man attractive. Her claim was she was trying to protect a friend who found the trans man attractive. Protect her from being trans. So, every single time a TERF tries to virtue signal about how this is all about protecting women and keeping women's spaces safe and ideological purity or whatever, protecting kids, know that this is truly what they stand for. This is what they actually stand for. This is what they mean when they say protect children. This is what they want to do. It's no coincidence with the Florida genital inspection bills for girls that want to do athletics in school that are underage. Who would have thought? Lot of correlation with transphobes and fucking sex creeps. It's getting weird. In court, Waldron said that she had been enjoying... Oh, we already read that. Despite her excuses, the court found her guilty and asked her to pay a legal fine of $300. For those of you guys that do not know, in TERF Island, rape and sexual assault against men is not taken very seriously, particularly if perpetuated by a woman. Compounding that if the victim is trans. I believe it may still be the case. If not, it was changed recently. In the UK, a cis woman cannot rape a cis man. They legally define rape as unwanted penetration, which basically means, yeah, women can, like, white, wealthy, cis women can get away with groping a trans man in public. And that combination of biases in the UK are going to result in, oh, you literally tried to fucking bowling ball this dude? Yeah, that's just $300. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, $300 for groping. No fucking way would this have gotten away. Would this have gone under the radar the way it did? If something like this had happened and, like, the victim was a cis woman, like a wealthy, white, blonde, blue-haired cis woman, and the guy who, like, groped her got off with, like, $300 fine, €300 fine, the fucking feminist groups and TERF groups in the UK would be up in fucking arms, okay? There is a very particular type of faux feminism that has sort of become permeated in British culture. It is very wealthy, white, and liberal feminism, okay? And not always just white, right? It is very white. But it's not just white women in particular, but mostly white, yeah. Who would have thought? The biases that are against trans people are not only harming cis women, but it is also harming cis men. It's really just harming everybody who isn't like a weirdo sex pest or pedophile who wants to find some, like, weird finger-pointy way of justifying their diddling of people who don't want to be diddled. Because that's all this is. Now, you may think, oh, well, this is just an interpersonal thing. This is just a story where something happened, yada, yada, yada. Well, let's follow this up with something a little bit more systemic happening right now. I can thank Raincloud in chat for sending this my way. Here we go. Terrifying. Texas has attempted to gather a database of all transgender people in the state through driver's license, learner's permit, and professional license changes. They found 16,000 people. These include IDs available from birth. Don't forget to subscribe to, the story. You know what it means when you start gathering a database of people who are a certain identity, right? And start, like, making a catalog of them based on their ID and their address? It's preparing for genocide. If you are trans, and that is known, like you've changed your name to a different gendered name on your driver's license and you live in Texas, you're probably in that database. I would get the fuck out of Texas if you are LGBT. particularly if you are trans, because now they're putting you in a database. Your name and your address, the state of Texas is now putting in a database for further legislative action, right? Once this database is established, you know what they can do, right? There are a whole lot of legal loopholes they can go through to then categorize everybody on that list as a separate class of citizen. You see, all it really takes now is marking that list as a list of people who are at threat of being a danger to children, for example, and all they have to do is take that list, claim in the public, this is a list of people in Texas who are a danger to children. Doesn't matter what the list is or if it's just a list of trans people, the Texans will believe it, and they will have support to start leveraging legal charges and legal treatment against those people on said list. It really is that simple. There is no other reason to make a list of all the trans people in your state. In a state that is this, that is Texas. In Texas, the most transphobic of the states at the moment, besides maybe Ohio. Ohio might be a little more insane. So yeah, I want to be very clear. You will suffer under the horror that these people will put you through, okay? It doesn't matter if you're trans, or if you're cis, or if you're I hate the word ally, but if you're an ally or not, should I say a decent human being who meets the bare minimum in educating yourself in these positions or not, you will suffer, okay? Every time the right, or any offshoot of the right, that includes fascism, takes any sort of real systemic power or cultural power, everybody suffers. It's just, that's how it works. Everybody suffers. The same people, these gamer bros right now that think that rallying against the trans community right now is going to equal, like, saving their freedom of speech, they're going to feel really shitty when the politicians they've elected and supported start advocating for banning violent video games. That's what they did back in the 90s and early 2000s. That's what the right was all in favor of back then. You think they won't revert back to it? They've already reverted back to being anti-gay marriage and anti-abortion. You think they won't revert back to those 90s, 2000s talking points? Trump already did it. Trump blamed a neo-Nazi mass shooting back in 2019 on video games. He said, oh, it's the violent video games making these kids so desensitized to violence. A lot of the people who think that the right is on their side, oh, no, absolutely not. You are going to suffer under their control. I don't care if you think they're your side and you think, oh, it's going to be so cool to see the lefties get owned. If you are a person who does not have a mass amount of money, wealth, and power, you are going to suffer under their rule. Trans, straight, cis, het, doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Everybody suffers under their rule. So remember though, guys, there are a lot of things you can do to try to help yourself if you're in Texas right now or one of these red states. Big one is buy a gun. Personally, I would advise not buying a gun and instead moving to a blue state because guns can be pretty expensive. Regardless, I want you to know that while things are bad right now, and they are getting bad, I personally do not believe they can make it last. I think it'll get bad, but I don't think it's going to last very long. These people are vitriolic monsters. You see, the right may have the majority of people on board with the idea that, maybe these drag queens and these pretty outfits that maybe make me feel a little weird shouldn't be doing yada yada around kids. Like, you can get a lot of Americans who just have very strong disgust responses and don't use their brain. You can get a lot of Americans on board with just that as an argument. You cannot, however, get most Americans on board with, let's start murdering all the trans people. That is a lot harder to pull off. Do I think it's going to get worse? Yes. Raincloud, you're completely right. It's going to get worse. Trans people are in a lot, I'm going to say it a third time, a lot of danger. However, what is important to remember is that you need to focus on survival. Do not go full doomer. Don't start thinking about suicide or like giving up on life or like resigning from like what you care about, okay? focus on keeping yourself alive and safe and taken care of, because even if this gets bad, like really bad, it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. All right? Just know that, all right? Do not go doomer. Do not give up. Look to the future and look towards productive ways that you can soften any potential blow you take from this, okay? A big piece of advice that Vosh likes to give is buy a passport, or not buy a passport, renew your passport. And that's always a good option. However, personally, I don't believe that trans people are at a large risk federally at the moment. I think that it's more of like a find a solution. Like, before renewing your passport, find somebody in a blue state willing to host you and perhaps even give you transportation. I think that's probably the biggest and best thing you can do right now. You're in Texas? Do you have a Twitter friend that you're pretty close with? Someone on Discord, a gaming friend, a guildmate in WoW, something like that you can really talk to and explain your situation to, who you trust, who can host you. And that can go a long way. Looking for friend support in blue states, that can go a long way. It really, really can. And that's what I recommend you do before you even start looking at renewing your passport. Renewing your passport takes a minute. You can do that, but immediately start building friendships and getting in contact with friends you have who can help you if things go to shit in your town or in your state. Hell, it may not even be a state or legislative thing. It may just be you live in a really rural town, like a really rural town, that just decides, like the local chapter of white supremacists and neo-Nazis just decides, yep, who's going to stop us? Let's go on a rampage through this town, kill every single, queer person and non-white person we come across. And that's just what they decide to do out in their redneck dirt road town. If that happens, you need to know a way out and have something prepared. It can't be something that just hits you out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're like going to your phone, going to your computer, like texting your friends like, oh my God, I need a place to stay. I need a place to stay. They're roving down the street. They're roving down the street. They're locking down the border of the state. They're locking down the border. Like, you don't want that to just come and hit you out of nowhere. You want to have a plan and be ready. I want to make it very clear here. The American right are not like misled people. Like, the American right, as far as politicians go, let me be clear, are not like misled people who have a common goal for like a better America, but just a different ideal of how to reach it. These are people whose primary goal, first and foremost, are to destroy both the ideology of leftism and progressivism and all those who would agree with it. Their primary goal is to kill all of us, or if they can't convince us and turn us to their side, to kill you. Or to deport you. I mean, hell, their go-to argument for why we should stop immigration, because they're too afraid to say they just hate brown people, is immigrants vote more Democrat. And thus they should be deported and kept out of the country. That is their justification 99.9% of the time, because they have nothing else. Immigrants don't do more crime. They don't cause harm to the economy. They do the opposite in both cases. There is no real argument, right? It's all just genocidal bigotry shaded under concern trolling. Do not fall for the concern trolling. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel, my videos, my streams, my segments, all those things out a lot more than I think you guys realize. It kind of twists YouTube's arm and forces them into pushing my content to brand new people and people who are already subbed that just didn't get the notification already. So certainly remember to hit that like button. You can also subscribe, ring the bell icon, and follow me to turn on the... You can also subscribe and hit the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And of course, you can follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, as well as... Well, you can support me financially by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.